FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Now, probably our most interesting project has been in Pakistan. There, for more than 3 years, we have been trying to reform the Madrassas. Now, these religious schools, back in the Middle Ages, were the absolute peaks of learning excellence in the world at the time. It was only Western exposure to them that led to the creation of our university system in settings like this. And small things that you don't think much about, like funding a chair in a given discipline, or the mortarboards and tassels you wear on your head at graduation. This all came out of the madrassas. Unfortunately, over time, under the influence of colonialism and other factors, they regressed to the point where they tried to purge themselves of anything that had to do with the West, at least as they perceived it. So they largely are now about rote memorization of the Quran and the study of Islamic principles. So what we've tried to do, we've had two goals. One is to expand the curriculums to include the physical and social sciences, but with a particular emphasis on human rights, especially women's rights, and religious tolerance. But perhaps more importantly, we've been trying to transform the pedagogy to develop critical thinking skills among the students. When we first started out, if a student so much as raised his hand in class, he could be punished for being disrespectful. It's totally a one-way flow. And what happens out of this is you've got these young kids who've memorized the Quran. They haven't a clue as to what it means because they've memorized it in Arabic. Their first language is Urdu. And they're not taught enough Arabic to understand something as sophisticated as the Quran. So along comes the local militant, misappropriates a little scripture, as all religions are guilty of doing from time to time, to recruit them to his cause. And these kids are very easy prey. They've got no ability to challenge, no ability to question. And I find, even when we're working with madrasa leaders, that you can point out how something that they're doing and that they subscribe to is really counterproductive to their own best interests, and take them through a logic flow to get to a different point that would be productive. And they can follow that logic, they can embrace the new conclusion, but what they're absolutely incapable of doing is starting that process by themselves. They don't have the critical thinking skills. And that's why I think that's so important. Now, there have been a number of attempts by the government of Pakistan to reform the madrasas, and they've all failed. Because the madrasa leaders fear two things. One is the loss of their independence, and second, more importantly, is the secularization of their curriculums. In the wake of 9/11, our government gave the government of Pakistan $100 million for educational reform. The madrasas, which are self-funded, just thumbed their noses at it for the reasons I just cited. When I say self-funded, most of them are funded through the poor tax, the zakat, but also some get their funding from Gulf states, so, Wahhabis, particularly from Saudi Arabia. So it's a situation where this is a tough crowd to work with. And the reason that we've been successful is twofold. First, we've been able to do it in such a way that they feel it's their reform effort, not something imposed from the outside. We do that by giving the madrasa leaders a lot of ownership in the process. And sometimes that's as simple as showing them good things and them asking for more. Because they there are a lot of good thinkers there. It just hasn't been channeled properly. And secondly, is we appeal to their own heritage. We inspire them, if you will, by pointing out how many of the pioneering breakthroughs in the arts and sciences, including religious tolerance, took place under Islam 1,000 years ago. The more they hear that and internalize it, the taller they walk and the more they think, hey, maybe we can do better.